Austin Hill could face penalties for intentionally wrecking Cole Custer, and my power rankings look very different post-Memorial Day. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Hope you're doing well. Lots to get to today, but first I want to thank today's sponsor, 1821 Man-Made. 1821's grooming essentials are drenched in the spirit of the dry years, echoing the boldness and opulence of the finest whiskey. These unrivaled blends are drenched in mysterious charm, sophistication, and timeless scents. Their 3-in-1 Man-Made wash is available in 4 legendary scents, strength and moisture in every drop, the Spirit Spritzer, and so much more. Head to 1821manmade.com to check these great products out and more for yourself, and be sure to use special promo code 1821 NASCAR to get 25% off your entire purchase. Don't miss out. Quickly, let's touch on the latest news this Tuesday morning. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Brad Keselowski are participating in a Goodyear tire test at Iowa Speedway today. The NASCAR Cup Series heads to the 7/8 of a mile short track next month for the first time ever. The test this week is just to get data on the tire. Goodyear is already prepared. It's too late in the game to construct an all-new compound for next month's race. So that is going on today. Also, the entire NASCAR industry is patiently awaiting news out of Stewart-Haas. According to reports this past weekend, today, Stewart-Haas leadership is expected to address the team regarding their future. I'm not sure if that means an official announcement is coming later today, but if leadership talks to the employees, someone's going to talk to reporters. I imagine whatever gets said within the walls of Stewart-Haas today will get out, will go public eventually. So everyone is waiting on what they're going to do. Crazy how quick things have escalated. A few months ago, most everyone just assumed, hey, Stewart-Haas may not stick with Ford next year. Then the conversation quickly shifted to, well, hey, Stewart-Haas is going to unload 1 or 2 charters. To now, everyone's assuming they're going to unload all 4 charters. Stewart-Haas is going to do away with their Cup Series program entirely. That's just speculation at this point, but that is the hot rumor at the moment. We could get confirmation as soon as this evening. If and when that news breaks, we will be here to react. But for now, let's talk about Austin Hill. Does anybody like Austin Hill? It seems like he has no friends in the garage, in the grandstands. He can't seem to do right by anyone. We're taking things back to Saturday, the Xfinity Series race at Charlotte. Late in the race, Hill and Custer, battling for 5th, made contact. Austin Hill's right front tire went down. He drifted up the track into Custer. They both got into the wall. Then Austin Hill plowed into the back of the 00 and spun Cole Custer out. Custer crashed into the inside wall. After the race, Austin Hill explained the incident and what led up to it from his perspective. Austin Hill told reporters, quote, "He, Custer, completely lost his mind down the front stretch. Doored me so hard it cut my right front down. I drive into one really deep because I'm going to drive in with him, and the right front was down, so I got into him. Then I probably got a little too carried away down the backstretch. I didn't let him go, so that part I apologize about." Hill went on to say that the replays Fox were showing did not show the full story. Like, I had a hard time finding a clip of him and Custer actually making contact down the front stretch, but something clearly cut Austin Hill's right front down. He had a flat going into one. That's what led to the ultimate crash. Well, the initial crash. The second crash was extremely avoidable, and Cole Custer was furious. This is what Cole Custer told reporters afterwards. Quote, "He, Hill, tried to kill me on the backstretch and just held it full throttle until he wrecked our car and killed the rear clip. Slapped my head against the back of the headrest. I know it was hard racing, but at the end of the day, I don't like getting intentionally wrecked and killing the front clip on our race car. It's just ridiculous. If he wants to drive like a pissed off teenager, it's just ridiculous." Strong words there from the defending Xfinity Series champion. Then on X, Cole Custer compared the Austin Hill incident to what Kyle Busch did to Ron Hornaday way back in 2011. Yeah, that was perhaps the lowest light of Kyle Busch's career. He was parked for the Cup Series race that weekend, suspended. So Cole Custer making a very strong, very bold comparison there. There are some differences, I think, between what Busch did to Hornaday and what Hill did to Custer. For one, Busch, that impact with Hornaday was extremely hard. Full speed, right reared up into turn 3, bad angle. Not to mention, that incident took place well after the caution came out. We have to acknowledge all the fine details if we're talking about suspending someone, because that's where this conversation goes. Should Austin Hill get suspended for clearly intentionally wrecking Cole Custer? If we take a look at recent incidents that resulted in suspensions, you have a lot of right rear hooks. You have Bubba Wallace right rearing Kyle Larson at full speed at Las Vegas. Chase Elliott right rearing Denny Hamlin at full speed at Charlotte. Going back a few years, ironically, Austin Hill was chased down by Johnny Sauter under caution. Sauter received a 1-race suspension. And then, of course, if we go back even further than that, Matt Kenseth suspended 2 races for wrecking Joey Logano on purpose at Martinsville. Kenseth was 20 laps down at the time, something like that. More recently, we just discussed last week, Kyle Busch was not suspended for pretty clearly wrecking Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Now, that wasn't a right rear hook. The race was still under green. You could argue they were racing for position. That's just Kyle Busch self-policing. But not only was Busch not suspended, he was not fined, no points penalty, nothing, nada, zip. So for trying to place the Austin Hill Cole Custer incident on this sliding scale, you have like Busch, Hornaday, Kenseth, Logano is like way over here. And then I guess you have Kyle Busch spinning Ricky Stenhouse way on this end of the spectrum. I think the Austin Hill deal here lands somewhere in the middle. Does it eclipse what Sauter did to Hill back at whatever year that was, like 2018, 2019? I'm not really sure. It's hard for me to say, but that's what everyone's talking about. Look, I think no matter what, there should be a penalty. Kyle Busch wasn't fined or anything for what he did at North Wilkesboro. Okay, fine, I guess. Austin Hill should at least be handed a fine and perhaps even a points penalty for intentionally wrecking Cole Custer. Like Custer said, they were racing hard, made some contact, I guess. Hill's mad. Hill is mad at Cole Custer, completely understandable. There are other ways to, quote-unquote, self-police besides blatantly riding someone's rear for half a straightaway and turning them into the inside wall. Cooler heads should have prevailed. NASCAR may hand a suspension out because Austin Hill does have a history of being kind of a hothead. Punched out Myatt Snyder a few years ago. I don't think that was warranted. Didn't face any sort of penalty for that incident. Go back to last year at Martinsville. I think that's where a lot of fans sort of turned on him, the way he handled the whole Sheldon Creed deal at the end of that race, what he said afterwards. This year, Austin Hill's been very aggressive. Remember, pushed Shane Van Gisbergen wide on the final restart at COTA. SVG eventually got him back, although it bit both of them. Austin Hill is a very talented race car driver, but he has not won over many fans. Past hot-headed incidents, I think fans perceive sort of a double standard with Hill. He'll race people in ways he doesn't want to be raced. We'll see what NASCAR decides here. If they choose to suspend him for 1 race, fine. If nothing else, there should be a points penalty and a fine handed out for intentionally wrecking someone, a complete overreaction to what happened on the racetrack, at least in my opinion. And Hill has sort of a history, I think, now of overreacting in certain moments. So some sort of penalty should get handed out. Will it be a suspension? Gosh, I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. Those are my thoughts on what happened in the Xfinity race Saturday night. Now, let's talk power rankings. I know the Coke 600 was tragically cut short, but I still think we learned a lot. There is a ton of movement in my top 10 this week. Let's get to it. My Out of the Groove power rankings are up next. Bye-bye Ryan Blaney, no longer in my top 10. I know it was a pit road mistake that ruined his Coke 600, but if you look at his last 6 races, his average finish is 24.5. That's terrible. Another honorable mention, Ross Chastain. Maybe I'm too hard on Ross. He has been able to hang around 9th or 10th in the regular season standings most of the year. But his 8th place finish at Charlotte this past weekend was his first top 10 finish since COTA 9 races ago. Honorable mention. And Christopher Bell. Maybe this is a hot take. He was the race winner. And even though it was rain shortened, it's not like he lucked his way in there. He led a bunch of laps, was in contention all night, won a stage. But the reason I don't have Bell inside my top 10 is because that was the first incident-free race for the 20 team in like over a month. I need to see more. Lots of honorable mentions this week. Top 10, number 10, Ty Gibbs. Won the pole for the Coca-Cola 600, finished 6th. He's 7th in the regular season standings. He's already matched his top 5 total from last season, and he's almost matched his top 10 total, and we're not even close to halfway through the year. He won the All-Star Open the previous week. Ty Gibbs starting to look fast once again. At number 9, Alex Bowman. I'll move him up a spot this week. Another race, another top 10 finish. That's 5 straight top 10 finishes for Alex Bowman. And 6 top 10s in his last 7 races. Not to mention, he earned 15 stage points, I believe, Sunday night. Not bad at all. Love the consistency from Bowman. He is 9th. In the number 8 spot this week, I have Chris Buescher. As a team, RFK Racing is on the rise. Chris Buescher in particular has been hovering around the lead. He was 2nd at Kansas by an inch. Should have finished 2nd or 3rd at worst at Darlington, got crashed. Finished 3rd in the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Pit road drama derailed what could have been a good night at Charlotte, although to be fair, issues on Saturday, losing a tire, put him behind the 8 ball early. So rough weekend for Chris Buescher, but I like where RFK is headed. They are on the right trajectory, which is why in the number 7 spot I have his teammate and boss, Brad Keselowski. 2nd in the Coca-Cola 600, his 3rd runner-up finish of the year. You'll recall he won just 2 weeks ago at Darlington. And at Charlotte, he might have had the best long-run car. So that's very encouraging. Remember, just a few weeks ago, Brad Keselowski was outside of the playoff picture. Now, he not only has a win, so he's locked in, he's also top 10 in the regular season standings. That's how fast, how consistent the number 6 team and their execution have been the past few weeks. So Brad Keselowski in the 7th spot, he takes over as my top Ford at the moment. In the number 6 slot for the 2nd straight week, I'll stick with Tyler Reddick. When this team executes, when they have a clean weekend, they are fast. But as usual, they had some issues this weekend. A penalty on Saturday forced Reddick to effectively start Sunday's race a lap down. He battled his way back, took the wave round, got back on the lead lap, drove his way through the field to finish inside the top 5. Imagine if they don't have that issue in inspection on Saturday. I guess honestly, even with the issue, imagine if this race goes all 400 laps. Tyler Reddick had a top 5 car. I think he had a top 2 car, especially on the long run, just ran out of time. Clean weekends. If this team executes a bit better this year, he probably has 2 or 3 wins instead of just the 1. I have Tyler Reddick in the 6th spot. Once again, for the 2nd straight week, Chase Elliott is in P5. I like Chase Elliott because you know what to expect. He's finished top 20 in every single race this year. I saw a stat from Trey Ryan. That's the longest top 20 streak of his Cup career. Chase Elliott has been especially good the past 8 races where he has an average finish of 6.3. He's not leading a ton of laps outside of the Martinsville race and the Texas race, but you can count on Elliott to be in or near the top 5 basically every single week, regardless of racetrack. I appreciate that consistency. Chase Elliott at 5. My top 4 is still the same, but I've moved some guys around. Martin Truex Jr. sits in 4th. It has been an awkward few weeks for MTJ. I guess awkward isn't the right word, just quiet. He was 12th at Charlotte. That's not bad, but his teammate won the race. His other 2 teammates were 5th and 6th. Truex is still looking for that first win this year, but if we look at his entire body of work this year, another very consistent driver. His average finish for the year is still right around 10th. He's still 2nd in the regular season standing, so I still feel comfortable keeping Martin Truex Jr. in my top 4, but if they don't pick up the pace in the coming weeks, that could change. Moving ahead 1 spot this week is William Byron into the 3rd slot. Won a stage this week. Whoa, it's been a while. That's kind of a rarity. Love seeing that top 5 speed once again from the 2014. Great finish, great result, moves up at least 1 or 2 spots in the regular season standings. He's top 5 now, tied for the most wins, tied for the most top 10s of anyone this season. William Byron at number 3. At number 2, and I know this one's going to spark some debate, Kyle Larson. Look, like I said Sunday night, I have tremendous respect for Kyle Larson and Hendrick Motorsports for chasing glory and prestige by choosing to run the Indianapolis 500, but that decision has negatively impacted his NASCAR standing. He missed the most valuable race of the season, a race that I think he likely would have won had he been there. He's been the best driver by far at intermediate tracks this entire season. You saw Justin Allgaier able to drive up to 13th. Imagine if it was Young Money behind the wheel. He wins. He wins. He left, in my opinion, at least 50 to 60, if not close to 70 regular season points on the table, missed out on at least a couple of playoff points in my opinion, lost the regular season points lead. In fact, now he drops to 3. So I have to drop Kyle Larson to 2, not because he did anything wrong, he didn't race. Think of this more as me rewarding someone who did race and had another fantastic run. That is Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, I think for the first time this year, takes over the number 1 spot on my power rankings. He is now the regular season points leader. He finished 5th at Charlotte, his 4th straight top 5 finish. Not only is he fast, he's got a win in that span as well. He's also extremely consistent. I like that. And if Denny Hamlin doesn't get swept up in the weird Nemechek, Chris Buescher pit road drama and mishaps, he wouldn't have lost so many positions every time down pit road. He might have contended for the win. He may have been right there wheel to wheel with his teammate Christopher Bell. Sure, there's an asterisk, I guess, because Larson missed a race, but Denny Hamlin is now the regular season points leader, and because of that, plus his 3 wins on the year, he would be the number 1 seed if the playoffs began today. That's why I have Denny Hamlin at 1. I'm not trying to punish Kyle Larson. I'm rewarding Denny Hamlin for 4 straight top 5s, 3 wins, regular season points lead. Think of it as a reward for the 11 more than a punishment for the 5. But I understand that take will likely be controversial. Can't wait to see what happens at Gateway this weekend. Kind of a unique, interesting track. But there you go, my top 10 power rankings post-Memorial Day. Lots of changes. That is going to do it for this episode, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel and you love all things NASCAR. We stay in the loop every single day. And a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks. Again, you'll probably be hearing from me soon if and when we get news out of Stewart-Haas. I'm as curious as the rest of y'all. Thanks for watching, folks.